The Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Charles Lejano. Senatorial aspirant Nery Colmenares reveals that he actually wanted to be included in Vice President Leni Robredo's slate for 2022. But former Senator Antonio Trillanes was blocking this move. Trillanes, on the other hand, says some members of the Makabayan bloc do not endorse VP Robredo. The details in this report from Marian Enriquez.
Makabayan supporters were disappointed after Bayan Muna's Nery Colmenares did not make it to the 11-man Senate ticket of presidential aspirant Leni Robredo. Colmenares was among the conveners of Isabela, which endorsed Robredo as standard bearer. Robredo, meanwhile, has time and again vowed to forge a united opposition. She has yet to announce her 12th senatorial bet.
Yung number 12, yung gusto sana namin, who will best represent the marginalized sectors. We have a number of nominees already, pero gusto kasi namin hindi ito desisyon ko lang.
Colmenares is confident that he will be part of the list, but former Senator Antonio Trillanes, who is in the slate, is opposing his inclusion.
There are some objections from some quarters in her slate. So they're still trying to probably to resolve that.
On Facebook, Trillanes admitted that a consultation happened. He vetoed Colmenares on the back of the bloc's endorsement of President Rodrigo Duterte in 2016. Colmenares ran under Grace Poe's ticket. On top of that, Trillanes said 5 Isabela conveners from Makabayan did not endorse Robredo for the presidency and are supposedly backing Manila Mayor Isko Moreno. Trillanes then accused Makabayan of pushing for their vested interests. Bayan Muna's Carlos Zarate denounced all of this.
This is not the mature way of forging a broad front, no? Para malabanan yung pangunahing problema. No? Dapat ang mata natin eyes on the ball.
Zarate said the goal is to stop the former dictator's son, Bongbong Marcos, from entering Malacanang, as well as the administration's bets. He said they have met with Moreno and Senator Pacquiao and are now pushing for a meeting with Robredo.
Maliban doon sa political objective, no, na labanan yung Duterte and Marcos tandem, ay anong platform ang pwede ring pagkasunduan, no? Minimum and maximum.
Among the things they wish to discuss with Robredo include pandemic response and workers' rights. For News 5, Marian Enriquez, we are One News.
Some presidentiables made sure to send help to those affected by severe tropical storm Maring. The Office of the Vice President continued their relief operations to various parts of Cagayan. In a Facebook post, Robredo also thanked all Angat Buhay partners, including members of the church, the LGUs, the BFP, and the military. Former Senator Bongbong Marcos' team also distributed relief goods for those in Isabela and Cagayan. But Marcos' act of kindness went viral for another reason. People noticed that the sachets of 3-in-1 coffee inside his relief packs had his name and face printed on them. And some found it funny, while others criticized the move for campaigning amid the disaster. With Metro Manila under alert level 3, adults and children alike have started crowding public and leisure places just like the Dolomite beach in Manila. Camille Samonte with the details.
What social distancing? Thousands gathered at the Manila Baywalk Dolomite Beach as Metro Manila eased restrictions to alert level 3. Even before the bay's opening time at 8 a.m., throngs already crowded, a mix of adults and kids.
Hindi kami pupunta, kailan to? Panganay ko, nagsabi bukas naman na sabi niya punta tayo doon, magtatampisaw lang kami. Naawa naman ako.
Dati nung unang punta namin kasi all black pa talaga yung mga sand dito. Ngayon maganda na siya, malinis na.
Social media was also replete with images of huge crowds in Taguig City. Some also show minors. But are minors really allowed to go out under level 3? MMDA Chairman Benhur Abalos clarified they are, but only for essential activities and services. That means they are prohibited to roam in malls and public places.
I just want to clear that very well. Ngayon, according to the IATF guidelines, No? Ang mga minors ay pwede lamang, number one, for outdoor exercises. Number two, to buy or obtain essential goods and services. No? And number three, in some special cases for work. No? And of course, yung pinakapang-apat, yung intrazonal and interzonal transportation.
The Metro Manila Council is set to release guidelines on the interzonal and intrazonal travel of minors.
When you talk of travel, either you walk or of course yung sasakyan natin. No? Generally, dalawa lang yan. It's private, your own personal car, or yung public. You take jeepneys, you take buses, LRT, MRTs. So, yun ang concern ng mga mayors. They would have a uniform policy. Once mapapirmahan ko na lahat, we will announce it the soonest.
The Health Department warned the public not to be complacent despite the easing of restrictions.
Gamat marami na sa atin ay fully vaccinated, hindi po tayo pwede maging complacent at this point. Let us all remember, nakasalalay po sa bawat isa sa atin kung tayo po ay babalik uli sa alert level 4 o kung tayo po ay babalik na naman dun sa cycle natin na tataas sa mga kaso, bababa, tataas, bababa.
For News 5, Camille Samonte, We Are One News.
The country's Film Development Council calls on cinemas to prioritize the screening of Filipino films as the country slowly reopens theaters at limited capacity. On 1PH's Sa Totoo Lang, Chairperson Liza Dino Seguera reported that the losses of the cinema sector have reached over 20 billion pesos since the pandemic began. She also noted that over 760,000 film workers are affected by the health crisis. And the FDCP says that aside from preparing the safe reopening of theaters, cinemas should also prioritize the screening of Filipino films over foreign ones to help the local industry recover. Dino Seguera also wants more screening days for Filipino movies, and she admits, however, that the current 30% allowed capacity in cinemas is still not enough to regain the industry's lost revenue.
Gusto lang natin ay mag-umpisa, maka-break even man lang or mag-start ulit kumita. Kasi malaki pa rin ang premium na naibibigay sa mga pelikulang na ipalabas sa sinehan. Right now, we just have to really start and find ways to recoup as much as possible. So, ang appeal ko talaga ngayon sana suportahan ng ating mga manonood.
Apple has released its latest model for the MacBook Pro, which comes with an even more powerful chip. The touch bar is out, and HDMI ports and SD card slots are back in. Julie Ask of Forrester Research and Tae Kim of Bloomberg Opinion discuss more about Apple's new range of products on Bloomberg Opinion. Let's listen in.
What are the most important headlines that you're seeing cross about the MacBook Pro?
I think the biggest headline is millions of creative professionals are probably cheering that Apple is actually listening to them. We've had this trend where Apple would simplify their devices to make them look cooler, but then you would have to add all these dongles and add all these cables. Now, Apple is adding more ports back to their MacBook Pros. They added an HDMI port, an SD card where you could just put your memory card in, and they got rid of the touch bar and put in the physical keys like Mark Gurman reported. So they're actually listening to their customers and adding convenience back to their laptops. So I'm sure tons of creative professionals are screaming with joy right now because they're adding ports back.
And Julie, presumably some portion of the consumer market will also be happy about that. But is Apple getting the balance right here? Because we did see this massive, and Forrester has quantified the massive spend on technology at home. Is this hitting that market well, too?
Yeah, so, after listening to the announcements over the past half hour or so, I'm going to go all in with Tay here and say I do believe, given the enhanced performance, the speed, all of the changes that they've made, I do believe that this is targeted primarily at a professional community. Think about developers, gaming developers. This is all about speed, some battery efficiency and so forth. But I think, I haven't seen the price points come through yet. Maybe you have those, but I think we're going to see these priced, somewhere between like $2,000, $3,000 for the baseline models. My guess would be for these. And I think that price is a little bit out of the consumer market. What will be interesting to see is, what chips are in the minis and some of the products oriented more towards toward the family or the consumer at home.
In music, Tay, we got those announcements on music. There was an intraday reaction for Spotify stock that told a tale, but we've also seen a climb back from that big steep jump down. So when you take it into the totality of what Apple's saying on music, how important is it? How much of a threat to its competitors is it?
So they announced this $5 plan, which is 50% off their normal plan. That's controlled by voice. I don't think that's going to be a big market changer, so that's probably why the market moved in that fashion. But I also want to emphasize they announced 2 new Mac Silicon chips, M1 Pro and M1 Max, and it's 70% faster than last year's versions. So I think that's a big deal. Everyone talked about the Apple ecosystem, but I think Apple's biggest competitive differentiator is their in-house silicon chip manufacturing, chip design capabilities, and they're showing that they make the best chips in the world, the most power efficient, the best performing. And today's announcement shows that they still have what it takes.
Time now for a quick look at some of today's headlines. Presidential aspirants Vice President Leni Robredo and Senator Bato de la Rosa both visited Marawi yesterday. COVID numbers continue to improve in the metro, but experts warn that another surge in COVID-19 infections is still possible. And for the 8th straight week, another big-time oil price hike takes effect today. And those are the top stories at this hour. Join us again later at 12 noon as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Just register for a free account at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Charles Lejano. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.